My brain's splitting off in so many different directions. My brain's splitting off in so many different. My brain's splitting off in so many different directions that no one has the answers to. So many different. My dad was a shrink. Certain things upset me. And my dad was a shrink. Certain things upset me. And my dad was a shrink. Things upset me. What's the furthest star, and then what's beyond the furthest star? What's the furthest star, and then what's beyond the furthest star? What's the furthest star, and then what's beyond the furthest star? Questions that no one has the answers to.
I'm Jeremy Greer.
And I'm Gary Butterfield.
And this is Days of Future Cast, the podcast where we are currently talking about X-Statix. We're on issue number 8. We're going to conclude the Moons of Venus arc. I love this cover, Gary. Let me just start right there. Like, get right into it.
This is a really good one.
Super cool. I really like the fact that their shoes have little X impressions on the bottom. Like, I would buy some Skechers that had that, probably.
I actually noticed that in the last issue where the cover was just them falling.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I noticed, I think I knew this before, but that Fat doesn't wear shoes.
Oh, yeah, I guess because his feet get all big. He'd be ruining his... And that dude probably has a sneaker thing. Like, he probably collects some sneakers.
That's what I was thinking about, because it's like you could just do unstable molecules, but I imagine unstable molecule sneakers are not very fashionable.
Yeah, because they're made by Reed Richards.
Yeah, Reed Richards isn't making cool kicks. You know?
It'd be like Kanye making normal clothes. Like, ooh, what is this? This is bad. Stop it.
The shirt just says praise on it. It's just a white sweater. Why is it $90? The most of the Fantastic Four don't wear shoes either. Like at least half of them don't meaningfully wear shoes.
Yeah, I guess Thing has Thing feet.
And then I imagine like most of the time Johnny Storm's not wearing shoes.
You think? I feel like he would have unstable molecule shoes, right? Like he's got to have some protection, right?
I guess that's true. It just feels like he's not wearing shoes when he's on fire, and he's on fire most of the time.
Does Johnny Storm wear shoes? Let's look at this.
Let's call him Johnny Worm.
I thought I said Johnny Storm, but it's,
it's like, what a burn. Okay, Dr. Doom.
Got him. Fucking got him. There's no shoe entry on the Marvel database.
I guess on the Feet Wiki, it proves me right again. Really good cover. This is the conclusion of this arc. Then we're going to do a couple of one shots, which I really like it when comics do that.
Yeah.
Before we get into the next like bigger storyline.
And
here
to remind folks, our arc so far has been this new person, bad guy, coming in and wrecking shop for X-Statix. Most people think that this is Guy Smith. We, as the audience, know that it is not Guy Smith. In fact, it's something brought back by Venus de Milo from some weird dimension as she's been searching for the dimension that she put her family in. And we just get like a smash cut, go directly from the last issue into her just looking at him and going, Cousin Jamal, who we've never heard of before, and is, I don't know why that's so funny, dude. Like, it's just a really good, like, if this was like Cousin Theodore, like, it would be just as funny. There's something just really hilarious about Cousin Jamal, and I don't know why.
First appearance, Cousin Jamal.
So good.
Yeah, pictured. The collector's item that's on every comic collector's lips. I like that they decided just to have them be in front of an abstract piece of art. For this first panel here, it's real weird because they're in a cabin, but like there's multiple framings happening.
Yeah, this is because like you get the same kind of tree stuff on the second panel of the next page. Like it's almost like they were going for outside, but it's just all abstract and cool looking. Like I don't.
Yeah.
He immediately starts fighting. She's like, I thought you were dead. I went to your funeral, and he's like, now I'm going to yours, and starts like choking the life out of her. And as he does so, his face starts to distort, and he starts to suck up the weird, like, black molecules that she is made of. And she's like losing, right, when all of a sudden Guy Smith shows up. And he starts, like, basically, like, gets her away from this, whatever Cousin Jamal is, and then she is able to teleport them away very quickly.
Yeah, he literally says, can we get out of here and regroup? And she says, engage in some expositional dialogue.
Very good.
Very, very cute. I love his, like, this was when somebody extending their jaw. Like, this was new. Now it happens all the time. There's that movie about the evil nun that did that. It's like a horror movie trope for someone's jaw to extend like that. Yeah. But this was like maybe one of the first times I saw it.
I feel like
really creepy.
It 1 and 2 did a lot of jaw stuff.
Oh, the originals?
No.
Or the remake?
The remake.
Oh yeah, the remake definitely did. That was Jaw City.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the originals, they couldn't. Curry wouldn't do it.
What are the people called in Jaw City? What do they identify as? Like, are they the Jawers, the Jockers? What do they? Do they just like do something weird and like wear all the bottom rows or something? Like, what are they?
Jaw your answers. They get there. The reason why Guy is here is because he wanted to feel close to her. Yeah, so he went there to check it out. It's just a coincidence. They go back and they check in with Professor X.
This is the first time that this issue does it, and it's going to do it a lot, where like they are teleporting to a different place, but we don't like pick up like some time later. Like it's a 1-page turn, but time has passed and things have happened. In fact, like the grand finale with this villain is like skipped in this book, which I find really interesting. Like it makes the pacing really cool to read. Like I was kind of just like page turning very rapidly through this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of really good like lines in this as well. Mm-hmm. This bit. Professor Xavier is obviously really suspicious. But like, hey, it takes the form of your cousin Jamal. That's weird. And she's,
and she's like,
why
yes,
is that?
Xavier.
And,
it is. That's why I'm here.
And he's like, what do you think happened with cousin Jamal? What's in your dark dimension? And she's like, I don't have a dark dimension.
Yeah.
Which I love that line is just like a perfect little bit of denial, like knowing what we know about her history and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Suicide attempts and lots of therapy and stuff. Like she's had a really rough time.
She explains that Jamal was just a cousin she would randomly see at her family's place, and then he was shot in a drive-by in Atlanta in a case of mistaken identity. And Professor Xavier thinks that there's more to that story, but Guy, who is in like a giant bubble of
dick sucking machine,
he's in a giant dick sucking machine. What is this? Is this the Halo armor like 0.5?
Once you notice that it's got a specific tube directly on his crotch, it's really hard not to notice.
At all. Oh my god, Gary!
Yeah,
so weird.
it's really pretty incredible. Like he's floating in a tank, and the reason why we're gonna find this out, like. He's getting more sensitive. Like they have to do a new suit for him. Mm-hmm. But it does have like a Dr. Octopus tentacle like directly on his ding dong.
It's such a weird place. I wonder if like the
Cortanaing him.
You think you think they put this on him dry? You know what I'm saying? Like did they fill this up and they were like, okay, now attach this to your dick, and he's like, I'm not gonna do that? Or did they make Brian Posehn like dive in there and attach it to his, because Brian Posehn has gills in this universe. So.
Whoa, that's the main reason why he was recruited.
Yeah, absolutely. Like to put the ding dong sucker on dudes that are in the machine.
The vision and dental is too good for him to quit. Like it's not a great job, but so like working as Xavier's private ding dong slave is something of a golden cage.
By day, I'm Xavier's ding dong slave. By right, I have joined the resistance to decouple insurance from our employment.
Why, as I decouple dong after dong from Xavier's Cortana machine.
If I didn't have to pay for my insurance, I could afford to live on my Patreon for my podcast.
Nerd poker. It's not that great, but it's okay. Yeah. So he's definitely in a dick sucking machine. It's very weird.
Yes, that is. I did not notice that. But he's saying like, hey, like you need to like not worry about this. Basically, like stop interrogating her. Like she's been through a lot already. Like we don't need you like opening up even further stuff.
Yeah. And we figure out why he has those cuts on his neck. His sensitivity has been growing. Like his mutation is going further. So when Venus thought that Dead Girl had slashed him, he got a sympathetic wound. Like his sensitivity is like making his skin change based on empathy almost. That's real weird. They don't really explain it. It doesn't really go anywhere, but like that's pretty intense. So he's got a brand new suit for him.
I have to. Like, this is the worst superpower. Like somebody thought you got hurt and you get hurt. Like that's terrible superpower. Like if you
it's a real bad weakness.
Yeah, if like the power is doing all of the work on your behalf, right? Like it's like not even you don't even have a say in any of this stuff. That's wild to me.
Yeah. That's why you need the suits.
That's why you desperately need a suit. Fortunately, Xavier has always been prepared, so he already has a suit ready to go for him, because that's what Xavier does in this world. Just make a bunch of weird suits for people. And Guy wants to get the team back together and go after Bad Guy. And he does. They make a huge like They do a big press party, and like Guy's back on the team, and he's been on a secret undercover mission. So like they're going through the whole thing like they usually do, which are these big like we're gonna lie to the press and they're gonna like us kind of situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They don't tell the press like, hey, he was gonna die, like we were gonna kill him. He starts giving commands out, and they're like, well, that's a little weird. While you were gone, we voted Tyke to be the leader, and it was popular. Like, people like that.
I love
when they're all kind of explaining it.
I love on these pages where you just have Tyke on the stairs, like kind of separated from everybody, just like looking over like he's all mad at everybody. It's really good.
Like, he's not, he's not super comfortable with this stuff, like, but it is true that Guy flaked. Fat's like, we're down with you as a bro, but just as a bro.
And Venus is upset about this, and she's like, what is this, some kind of coup? And eventually Guy steps in and is like, hey, wait, like, this actually makes a lot of sense. Like, I never wanted to be the leader anyway. I failed at it, obviously, if I ran away, so like maybe it's Tyke's turn. And they like actually shake hands on it and decide that, hey, he's not going to be the leader. And everybody seems to be very happy with this arrangement, including me. I never thought Guy was a very good leader, to be honest with you.
The only person who's not is Dead Girl, who like shivers like somebody's walking over her grave. This feels like to me a little bit like they planted a seed for like foreshadowing that doesn't really pay off.
Okay.
To me, like, I don't know what she's scared of. Like, bad things still happen because it's a comic book, but there's nothing that specifically ties back to this. So we cut over to Guy and Venus, and they're, they just had a date. And Venus, like, this is where it all comes true. Like, this is where I say what really happened with Jamal and everything's fine. But she can't. She freaks out. She apologizes. She says, I know, I'm sorry. And then kind of beats herself up about it. And she looks in the mirror, like, what is this stuff with Jamal? Like, why is this creature, this bad guy creature, impersonating him?
Yeah.
What is at the center of this? Again, though, we cut through time to the next time he attacks.
Yeah. To a day later where and it's a full fight scene. Like, Dead Girl is already out. Fat is out. They're having a hell of a time when, Venus de Milo is just like, hey, screw this. I'm just going to teleport the two of us, out of here. And she teleports them to the desert, which seems to like the cousin Jamal is like, this is some half-baked Christian and fruity and mumbo jumbo. Like, and I was like, what are we doing? What is this? Is this just a desert? Like, is this I don't understand the reference.
It's a good place to defeat the devil.
Oh,
which I also don't.
Okay.
If the desert's a good place for that. But then when he's like, she says like, you're a creature from another dimension. How do you know about that stuff? And he goes, I surf the net.
Love it.
Which I like a lot.
I love surfing the net.
It's a cool reaction panel. Woo. So he starts like sucking out her powers again. He's like, and once I'm done consuming you, I'll tell you all about all the bad things that big bad cousin Jamal did. But Dead Girl, who was kind of in gut form, hitched a ride on Venus and beats the crap out of Jamal as the person who can like hurt him.
Yeah. And Venus de Milo says, I thought you had a problem with me. And Dead Girl says, I may be I may be dead and white and dating a black guy, and you may be black alive and dating a white guy, but we're still sisters. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
We're in a world where like men are shooting laser beams at each other.
Yeah.
And have super muscles. Like, we have to stick together.
And
so they kind of bury the hatchet here.
And this is what I'm saying. Like he's not like straight up defeated yet, right? Like he's just on the ground like moaning. But then we just cut to Guy asking her about insects, and she's like, yeah, that's what cousin Jamal would do to me. He would go and find insects outside and put them in my bed, and then when I threatened to tell on him or do anything, he would say that he was going to beat me up, so I was too scared. Which is not where I thought that this. I thought with the issues with intimacy, like this was going a very specific direction, and they left turned me real hard.
So I don't think they did. I think that this is still that direction. I think this is her subconscious. I think it's incest. But she's interpreting it as insects.
Oh, so she's still repressed at the end of this, is what you're saying?
That's what I think.
Okay.
Is she's remembering that because like the bug thing doesn't feel like a lot, and the idea of like threatening if you'll tell, on this thing, and the way that he was like, oh, big bad cousin Jamal and stuff. I think this is still her hiding it from herself.
Interesting.
We don't get any more backstory on her or anything like that. But I interpret this as like a wordplay thing almost. Like her brain turns it into like a something that's like a sound alike.
Do you think that this could also be like the Marvel editors being like, "No, you're not going to do incest"? Like, so the writers are actually kind of subtly hinting this at us without specifically saying the thing.
Yeah, I could see that too. I think the intent is that it's a molestation thing, but I could see either or. Like, it's something she's either repressed or Peter Milligan is like signaling.
Yeah,
not trying to be like a QAnon guy with this. Like, you have to look at the words he doesn't write. But that's what I think is happening.
I didn't even pick up on the incest kind of overlap there either. So like I think you were definitely right. Like, I think it definitely has some. There's something more at the side here.
It's like the language that she uses. Like, she's like, he would sneak into my bed at night. I'd wake up feeling them crawling and creeping all over me. I'd say, "Please, Jamal, stop it," and he'd laugh and threaten me with a beating if I told Grandma. Yeah, like that just has the semiotics of of abuse. To me, so they're in the pool, like just kind of having it out. But then Miles shows up to say, "Hey, there's somebody here," and it's Solomon O'Sullivan with Sharon Ginsburg dying.
Yeah.
In his arms. He found the alley she was in.
And they take her to Brian Posehn Hospital.
Brian Posehn Memorial Hospital in the Professor Xavier wing.
And he's really worried about her wings being torn off, and they're like, we're going to save her life first. Like, we got to focus on that first.
Yeah. And now that she's feeling a little better about this is when Venus starts talking about the suit. She's like, "Oh, he's been working on a special suit for me. It'll allow me to do that thing that most women do when they reach a certain age. Unless they join a nunnery." And he goes, "You mean?" She goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Then we're talking about Professor X's greatest ever achievement."
Wow.
Which I think is a really funny line. And she's like, "Yeah, I haven't tried it on yet." So he says, "How fast can you teleport?"
Yep. And we crash cut over to them in her bedroom apparently, and she's wearing like a negligee and like a thong and a bra, and I guess like the person suit is underneath all of that, and she's dressed up, and he's like just I can't even talk. Like, he has no idea how to handle this. Like, he's just super horny about it.
Yeah. He's horned out of his mind.
Yep. And as they get started and as things are like really going right, which we can see with dialogue, our perspective is Dupe like looking through the key log and like giving a thumbs up to the viewer as if to say, "Yeah, they're boning down."
The perverted sorting hat. There's something like guys who are really invested in their friends getting laid.
Yeah.
I think it's real weird. When dudes are like that.
I was watching a TV show the other day and that came up where like this guy and his friend were at a campfire and there's like 3 or 4 couples making out around them, and one of the guys was like, "All right, dude, I'm getting out of here. Like, this sucks." And he's like, "What, you don't want to stay and watch the show?" And I'm like, what do you think is about to happen here?
What show?
It's not a show, dude. Like, they're just kids. They can't go anywhere else. They don't want you here. I promise you. If you left, they would be happy.
Yeah. That is that's fucking gross.
Super gross.
There's something I remember, like I dated this girl very briefly, just a couple times, and one of the things we did, we were like hanging out. She went and picked up one of her friends from the airport, and her friend, who was like a dude, was like the whole time they were like, he was just like talking about how he like was gonna get laid. Like, he's like, "I'm in town, I'm gonna get fucking laid." And then she was like, "Yeah, like blah blah, like I might, my friend might be interested in stuff," and it just felt so alien to me. Like, not that I'm, not a sexual being or whatever, but just the idea of like, I just got off the airplane. God, I gotta fucking get my dick wet.
My dick wet,
like,
immediately.
Help me out.
Yeah.
I need a hand. Give me an assist.
Never fucked in Portland before. How your friends doing? Like,
how your friend? Yeah, it was very like, how your friends doing. It was very really weird. And there were lots of things that were weird about that, that whole thing anyway. But that was specifically very weird. And I'm thinking about Dupe as this kind of wingman. Mm-hmm. Character who's just like, "Get it, Guy Smith.
Get it. Go it on. I don't have my video camera, or else I would fit it through this keyhole somehow."
But
yep.
That's not what happens.
As everything starts to really come together, she kind of involuntarily teleports them to a different dimension where her family is. Her family's been hanging out and like fishing, thinking they were in heaven.
Mm-hmm. it's like this weird, like other, like it's this beautiful, colorful zone, you know? And previous to this, like we had made mention that she had teleported her family elsewhere. She still believed that she killed them up until this point. But kind of getting over this trauma or dealing with this demon helped her find the dimension, you know? Her family had been gone for like a really long time, living in this area, like wearing the same clothes, fishing at the Yellow Lagoon for supper.
Love it. Love to fish for supper.
You know, love to fish for supper at the Yellow Lagoon. You know, and like the idea that they thought they were in heaven is very cute.
Yes. Like this is really weird that I still have to like eat in heaven, but okay, like at least I don't have to pay for my own insurance or anything.
Yeah, there is universal health care in heaven.
I really enjoy the fact that her husband, her dad is just immediately extremely suspicious of Guy Smith, and the very last panel of the comic book is like she hugs Guy, and it's like, I'm so happy we found them, and like he's just like got the dad like death stare at Guy, like, who are you hugging? What's his name? Why don't I know him yet?
I didn't catch his fellow's name. We've been in the Yellow River dimension. You know, bigger things to worry about, Dad. Jesus Christ. But that's the end. It ends with this like little swerve where they don't, bone down, and she kind of resolves a bunch of her trauma.
Yeah. Good stuff. This was a good arc. This was a lot of fun. And you know, as usual, like the art and everything, as we keep talking about, is just so much fun, and it's so colorful and interesting to look at. Like I just have a lot of fun reading these when I get to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good sweet issue, good sweet arc. We are going to get to a real weird kind of misfire arc soon that I'm looking forward to talking about because it's interesting.
Okay.
But we got a couple one shots first.
Yeah. Until then, if you want to support us, patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. Ratings, reviews on iTunes and Stitcher and Podcaster. That's probably a thing. Just leave reviews anywhere.
Just an R with no E.
Yeah, exactly. No vowels in the word podcaster, by the way. Podcaster.com or whatever. Tell your friends about the show. All of that's good stuff. We appreciate all of you listening. We love you. I hope you're safe and sound.
Yeah, take care.
Bye.